So a couple of weeks ago, I put out on my Twitter account, and if you're not following me on there, you should. Link will be in the pinned comment down below. That if you like a post that I make, I will let you know one of my absolute favorite games. And I was given the incentive. I was told by a friend of mine that I need to make it deeper cuts. I can't do Mario, I can't do Zelda, no Suikoden. It's got to be stuff that is a little bit deeper under the surface level things that you guys know that I love. What's going on, everyone? Jay here from Square Pegs. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. And now let's take a look at 12 games that are a little bit deeper cuts that I love. All right, kicking things off with one of my absolute favorite hidden gems. This is for the Nintendo Wii. This is Batman the Brave and the Bold. This is one of my absolute favorite beat-em-up platformers, and it's spectacularly made by WayForward, probably my favorite independent developer out there. This game is based on the animated series of the same name, which ran a few years back, and it is a decidedly humorous take on the Dark Knight Detective. This game is drop-dead hilarious. The voice acting is spectacular, featuring people like Diedrich Bader, and the writing is wonderful. But don't overlook the gameplay either. WayForward packed in a ton of variety to this game. I mean, yeah, at its core, it is just a beat-em-up platformer, but there's so many different nuances and different things that you can do. There's combos that you can string together, there's unlockables and different weapons that you can get for Batman and Robin. And don't overlook the different superheroes you can unlock to bring in as assists either. The game's just a ton of fun. One of the first games I think of when I think of playing on Steam is this absolutely brilliant platforming roguelite in Spelunky. This game is properly hard. This is the very definition of NES hard. Like, this takes it into the modern era and is an unforgiving experience, but the game is just beautifully made and an absolute joy to play. The game is basically you exploring through a series of caves, trying to get through the end of the temple to complete the game. And as you go, you're going to unlock different characters, find all kinds of different weapons and items, magical artifacts that are going to assist you in different ways, and a truly psychopathic shopkeeper that is going to try to murder you if you do anything stupid near his shop. Trust me, don't mess with him. Spelunky is one of my favorite games on the PC, and it is something that is frequently on sale, so if you've never played it, I do encourage you to find it and pick it up. Spelunky and Spelunky 2 actually release on Switch this summer, and I think they're going to be fantastic to play in handheld. Alright, so when I picked up Project Crosstone when it launched, I had no idea what to expect from it. I was completely suckered in by the box art because I am a glutton and an absolute lover of crossovers, and this game just had me hook, line, and sinker from the second I saw it. This game features characters from Namco, Sega, and Capcom, and there's just a ton of them in it. There's 90 different characters in this game from across various different games. Let's run through some of the games that are featured in this. Tales of Vesperia, Tekken, Dot Hack, Xenosaga, God Eater, Super Robot Taisen, Namco Across Capcom, Resident Evil, Darkstalker, Street Fighter, Mega Man X, Dead Rising, Valkyria Chronicles 3, Sakura Wars, Virtua Fighter, Shining Force, Resonance of Fate, Mega Man Legends, Ghosts and Goblins, Cyberbots, Rival Schools, Space Channel 5. Like, the list is kind of endless, and it's magnificent. This is a tactical RPG. You are going to place your characters around the map, and you go into this awesome fighting mechanic where you actually have to input and time in a rhythm your different button presses to do different attacks. The game is absolutely brilliant, and it is something that I think a lot of people overlooked. One of the first games that I picked up when I got my Xbox was Crimson Skies. Now, I'm not a big kind of dogfight fan. Like, I kind of think that things got perfected with X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I haven't played too many others than that, but Crimson Skies is something special. Crimson Skies, for one, is dripping in style. This feels like a 1940s serial come to life. This feels like an adventure movie, like an Indiana Jones, like a steampunk Indiana Jones come to life. The writing is magnificent, the voice acting is wonderful, and feels like it was ripped right out of the 1940s movies. The moneymaker, though, for this game is, of course, the gameplay. And how is that? Well, it's wonderful. It plays beautifully, even 20 years after release, and controls just magnificently. The maps are a good size, and they're fun to explore and make your way around. The combat is well done and balanced and isn't overly difficult or overly easy at times. It's just a really fun game. Crimson Skies is one of those classics that I'm so happy got moved forward to the Xbox Series X for backwards compatibility, because it is a brilliant title that I think more people should play. I'm playing it here on my 360 just because it's hooked up to my capture card, but you can play it on every generation of the Xbox. So I think most people that have been around the channel for a while know of my love of ToeJam and Earl, so this one probably isn't too big of a surprise, but I want to tell you why I love it, because it is one of my favorite stories and something that is very important to me as a gamer. ToeJam and Earl was one of the first games I got for my Genesis, and the reason I got a Genesis is because I bugged my mom for months to get me one. When I first saw ads for Sonic the Hedgehog, my mind was blown. It was something I had to experience, and I ended up getting a Genesis for Christmas that year, but my mom, in her infinite wisdom, knew that I wasn't going to be able to wait until Christmas, so she let me open it early, and we ended up playing it for hours upon hours on the living room floor of our little house in Fall River, Massachusetts. And one of the things that I truly remember is after playing Sonic and just kind of being so excited about that, we picked up ToeJam and Earl. And this was a game that I played with my mom. And playing a game with my mom was something that was really special to me because my mom's really cool. I mean, being able to play a game with my mom was really special, and it's one of the most positive memories I have of my childhood. And it's something that I've tried to carry forward being a father now to my interactions with my son. Playing games with him, I'm sure, is going to be just as important to him as this was to me. So this is one of those special family memories for me. ToeJam and Earl is that important to me, and that's why. All right, talking of the little guy, I might as well get into why this one's on here. This is Skylanders Swap Force, and I'm sure some people are going to kind of roll their eyes as to why this is included on my list, but this was Victor's first game. This was... I mean, he had played stuff like Sesame Street, Once Upon a Monster, and Connectimals and things like that beforehand, but this was the first game he really sat down and got absorbed in. And watching him go from not really knowing how to use the Xbox controller to understanding the mechanics of the game and wanting to play it and wanting to find the secrets and unlock more things and level up his characters and improve his stats was just so cool for me. And it was something we could play together, but you know, with it being multiplayer and the Toys to Life having all the different options where we could buy these neat little figurines to bring these characters to life, to play them in game was just awesome. I'm really sad that the Skylanders series is dead. I wish it would come back, and I hope it does one day, because I think there's something here with these characters, because the characters themselves are fantastic, and the world of the Skylands is amazing. And I think there's something there that Activision could really do something with, but I don't know. Hopefully one day we'll see them come back. So if you can imagine a dingy, smoke-filled cafe full of computers and strippers and goth kids, and the reason that the strippers and the goth kids were there at the same time and they all got along and they were great to each other was because the place I worked at the time was called Cyber Central Cafe, and we were the only place open after 2 a.m. in Fort Myers, Florida. So everyone came to our place to eat. And the reason Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is on this list is because of Cyber Central Cafe. That was the first time I'd ever done a LAN party. It's the first time I'd ever connected online to play a game with people, and that game was Heroes of Might and Magic 3. We had plenty of terminals for people to rent out and play games on. We had fantastic sandwiches, we had great coffee, and this was the game that was my choice to play. I played this with my friend Bear, I played this with my friend Keith, and it was just something that I loved, and I still love to this day. I continue to play the Heroes of Might and Magic series, and it's something I will probably play as long as they keep making them, because I think they're wonderful. It's one of those weird memories. You know, Cyber Central burned hot and fast, and it was something that fell apart pretty quick. I don't even think we made it a year. But the memories I have of that place are going to last forever. And one of the most positive memories, one of the deepest cuts for me as far as gaming history goes, is Heroes of Might and Magic 3. You know, as a general rule, I don't much get into horror games. They're just not a thing for me. I just don't care for them. But I will make an exception to that rule when the names Suda51 and James Gunn are attached to a game. And the game in particular I am talking about here is Lollipop Chainsaw. This basically could have been called Exploitation Film the Video Game, and it would have been accurate, because that's what this is. Like, this is an over-the-top, in every conceivable way game. There is gratuitous violence. There is gratuitous gore. There is gratuitous language. There is gratuitous, how can I put this nicely, anatomy shots. It is ridiculously over the top, and it is an absolute metric ton of fun to play. It is wildly funny. The dialogue that is kind of signature of who James Gunn is as a writer is present throughout the entirety of the game. I cannot overstate enough how much fun Lollipop Chainsaw is. And it holds up years after release. It still looks good, it still sounds good, it still plays good. It's fantastic. For most people, when they think of fighting games, it usually boils down to Street Fighter II or Mortal Kombat. And those are both great series, don't get me wrong, but for me, it's King of Fighters. The King of Fighters series opened my eyes to what a fighting game could be. I already knew how great Mortal Kombat could be. I already was obsessed with Street Fighter, but King of Fighters changed everything for me. The SNK style of fighting game to me just clicked. I was able to find myself in a rhythm more easily when I played King of Fighters games, and one of the most important games for me from a King of Fighters perspective is King of Fighters 99. I've talked previously about our Friday night fight sessions back in the late 90s at my friend Mike's house every Friday night, and King of Fighters 99 was one of the most signature games that we always played. It was something that we brought out regularly, and it was oftentimes the most hotly contested game that we played. The game is brilliant. The characters are memorable, spanning a ton of different games, everything from Ikari Warriors all the way up to Art of Fighting. It just touches so many different aspects of the SNK library. It's an absolutely brilliant game. It plays beautifully 22 years after release. It is still unbelievably balanced and an incredible amount of fun to play. For me, this is the perfect fighting game. All right, bit of a sentimental pick here, and might be a little bit curious based on the other stuff that's on the list, but let me explain why. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 10 was the last physical game that I worked on. This was the last thing released actually in stores that you could go and pick up, and it's something that I loved. And it was a good game. Don't get me wrong. Tiger Woods 10 was a really good game. It wasn't great. It wasn't the best Tiger game. It wasn't the best PGA Tour game that was ever made by EA. It was good. It was serviceable. But the main reason it's on here is because of the work we put in on it. Every team that I oversaw for Tiger 10 worked their butts off. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 teams were magnificent. The unbelievable effort that was put in by the Wii team is something that I still look back and am just kind of in awe of how hard they worked on it. Because the game was incredibly difficult to make work, and it was incredibly difficult to get out the door. But the guys and girls worked really hard on it, and it's something that I am eternally appreciative of. I have 2 copies of Tiger Woods 10, one for the Wii and one for the Xbox 360, and I have them autographed by my test team. And I will keep these forever. Henshin a go-go, baby! I love Beautiful Joe. This is one of the lost Capcom franchises that I really wish would come back. Because, for one, I can't imagine how gorgeous this would look on modern consoles. But the game itself, Beautiful Joe, is just kind of perfect. Like, it set out to do one thing, and it does it so well. Like, Beautiful Joe, the idea behind Beautiful Joe is you become a superhero, and you're in the movies, and you get powers based on the movies. You can slow down time, you can speed time up, you get awesome weapons, there's cool stuff to unlock, there's really memorable characters throughout. The writing is brilliant. The game is just... it's as close to perfect as you can get. And it is one of those GameCube games that I look at. It was one of those signature GameCube games for me. It's something that when I think of my time on the GameCube, this is... let me put it this way. When I got rid of my GameCube and I sold most of my GameCube collection, there were 5 games that I kept. NCAA Football 2004, which is the first game I ever worked on. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, because it's perfect. And Beautiful Joe 2, and Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble. All right, and last but not least is another forgotten and dead, apparently, Capcom franchise, and that's Project Justice. Or Rival Schools, whichever one you want. Both of them are fantastic. I just happen to have Project Justice on hand, so that's what we're taking a look at. As much as I love Capcom fighting games, I mean, Street Fighter was something that I was obsessed with. Alpha 3 is my all-time favorite Street Fighter game. The Street Fighter 3 games are great. I knew those games inside, outside, upside down. But on the Dreamcast, Capcom started taking chances and started putting out some really bizarre stuff. And I would love to talk your ear off about Power Stone and Power Stone 2, but this is supposed to be deeper cuts. So that is why we are going with Project Justice. I loved the idea behind Project Justice being high schools that were fighting each other. Like, that is the most asinine idea to me. Like, why would this be a thing? Why would the faculty be participating? But this game played so well. It controlled beautifully. The animations were crisp. The sound was great. The voice acting was on point. I guess. I don't speak Japanese. But I really enjoyed this game. And having the different storylines where you're able to pick your school and go through and figure out the kind of the mystery of what Project Justice was was awesome. This game is fantastic. It's unbelievably pricey right now. I actually only have a disc copy. I do not have the case anymore because it broke and shattered years ago, and I'm lucky I still have the disc. Alright guys, there you have it. 12 of my favorite games that aren't just the surface level stuff. A little bit deeper cuts. You know, I promised I wouldn't go with Mario, I wouldn't talk about Zelda, I wouldn't talk about anything like that. I needed to go a little bit deeper today, so I hope you enjoy the 12 games I listed here. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite game is that's on this list, or any that you were surprised to see make the cut. I know some folks might be a little bit shocked at Tiger 10 being on here, but I tell you what, that test team was incredible. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you're new to the channel and haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe. And while you're there, ring that notification bell. Big thank you to my Patreon sponsors who you guys are seeing on screen right now. I want to thank them all for their continued support of the channel. If you dig the work I do here and you're in a position to help the channel grow, please consider becoming a Patreon sponsor or check out our merchandise page. Links to both those sites as well as our social media presences can be found in the pinned comment down below. Until next time, guys, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.